We know why. Intel is changing their naming scheme again. Discord suffers a data debacle, and gamers are choosing AMD. Let's get into the hot news, everybody. I'm your Brett host. We're going to be going over the hottest tech news I can find on the internet while you enjoy your breakfast this Monday, October 6, 2025. I'm going to start off with the reminder that this Friday, we're going to have the drawings for our PC giveaways over on our Twitch streams, twitch.tv/UFD Tech and twitch.tv/UFD Music. Over on UFD Tech, we have PCs sponsored by Falcon Northwest with an RTX 5090 and my personal Reece PC, as well as the South African flag custom print that has a 9800X3D 9070 XT in the mini form factor Tiki PC. Quite a giveaway happening there. And then for UFD Music, we have a 5070 Ti. You can go check out our Twitch streams to get more details about that, but that is happening this Friday, the first giveaway we're going to conduct while I'm here in South Africa. And Intel is trying to conduct a switcheroo in their naming schemes. We talked about this in Friday's episode of Hot News, that reports are coming out that they're going to change some of the CPUs to either be called Core Ultra, which is what we're used to, or Core Ultra X. And the question became, why are you doing this, Intel? What's going on there? And the reason we're getting all this is because of the Intel Tech Tour that took place recently, and we're getting details that the full embargo from that should lift on October 9th with regards to architectural details. However, we won't get any information on the actual release SKUs or what CPUs you're expecting to have in laptops moving forward, but the idea is that we're supposed to get all of that during CES 2026, which kind of confirms the release timing of Panther Lake. But with regards to Panther Lake being called Core Ultra X whatever, turns out that has to do with the integrated GPU. The XE3 Celestial GPU that's going to go into Panther Lake can only get the X nomenclature, only if it's the full fat 12 cores that's happening on the integrated setup. If you only have 10 XE cores, then you do not get the X, which Golden Pig Upgrade Pack, the well-known leaker who's giving us this information, says, according to the convention, the Ultra 5 GPU must be a castrated unit and not worthy of X, because it only has 10 XE cores. So if you see the X, you know that it has a slightly better GPU, has 20% more GPU cores than the actual non-X versions at least, because it turns out that it can go under 10, especially if you go with a lower SKU of the CPU. But in case you heard all that and you're like, what's going on, Brett? Can you summarize that for me? You should check out today's video sponsor. Technology has allowed us to change a lot of the ways we do things, like simply working. Meetings probably could have been an email, but for when an email doesn't cut it though, you'll want something from today's sponsor, Insta360, like their new AI-powered speakerphone. The Insta360 Wave is a stylish AI-powered speakerphone that doesn't stop at just a futuristic floating design. This bad boy follows through with premium quality audio, stacked with a 3D 8-mic array and the ability to capture voices from up to 16 feet away. You have the choice of omni, cardioid, super cardioid, figure 8, or stereo for your pickup pattern, and an AI-powered audio algorithm to reduce over 300 types of background sounds. Take a listen for yourself.
Yeah, so for the final shipment, we'll do 500 hot dogs, 500 cans of chili cheese, 3 tubs of ketchup, 5 barrels of mustard, and we'll have 1 container of relish, I think.
Now, this nifty floating design isn't just to look cool, but yes, it does look really cool. The vertical and floating design allows the microphone to be closer to those speaking and avoid obstructions that could impact sound reproduction. The Wave also features 32 gigabytes of storage to hold up to 1,000 hours of MP3 audio, so you'll have even better notes than the guy that doesn't stop writing the entire meeting. With the AI summary feature, you can actually listen during the meeting and just have your transcript ready for you when it's over. You could use the Wave with no plan for 300 minutes of transcripts, unlimited cloud storage, speaker labeling, integrated screenshots, and voice print recognition, all for free. Or you can opt for the premium plan for heavier usage needs, which includes 1,200 minutes of transcripts, a custom glossary, and Ask AI features. What's really cool about the Insta360 Wave is the easy integration into the Insta360 conference ecosystem. If you want to add video to your team meetings, it's as simple as removing the cover, popping the link to right on top of the Wave, and then plugging the Wave into your computer. Given that UFD Tech will be running video production on 2 continents soon, I can totally see the benefits in having this simple and cost-effective solution for team meetings that span an entire ocean. Discover how the Insta360 Wave can transform your productivity, especially when paired with the Insta360 Link 2 webcam. Links to both can be found in the description below. Thanks to Insta360 for sponsoring today's video. I guess you can use the Insta360 wave to summarize every episode of Hot News if you haven't listened to me. That's definitely a possibility. And it turns out that an Android PC might be a more realistic possibility than once thought, because Intel is updating their NPU drivers for Android support, which is not a very common thing. So the latest Linux drivers show that there is new Android builds happening in the Linux drivers. And this is coming amongst speculation that Chrome OS might be fused into a new Android operating system that's going to be specifically for laptops and other devices. So Intel getting that ready might be that they're preparing for a launch with Google of that moving forward. And just like Intel's preparing to launch with NVIDIA sometime soon, AMD released a statement about the partnership between Intel and NVIDIA, saying they're not bothered. Specifically, the words were, "We're very confident in our roadmap. We've done some very exciting things. You've seen Strix Halo products that are really category-defining products. We want to continue to provide disruptive technology," adding that AMD is very confident that we're going to continue to be able to compete in that environment. We've got great solutions going into notebook, desktop, handheld, and other form factors, so we're very confident in the ability to compete there, which, as Hardware Canucks put it, water is wet. Did anybody expect them to say, yeah, our GPU roadmap is broken, we should have doubled down on Strix Halo, we're struggling to build confidence with laptop partners due to late inadequate shipments, and this NVIDIA Intel thing freaks us out? Anybody really expect them to say that? Of course they're going to say everything's fine, we're not struggling whatsoever. And did anybody expect Reece to not give you deals today?
Yo, welcome back to UFD Deals, bringing the hottest tech deals. He's here on the internet, and here's your first deal. Starting off, we have the Sticklemonster Hyper 212 Halo CPU air cooler, going for only $13.15, making an already good product another $4.80 off. And then we have the brand new Logitech MX Master 4 wireless mouse, with both variants going for only $89.99, making it $30 off already.
The 4 is already $90?
Uh-huh.
What? They're not even for sale here yet.
I know, that's the worst part. And then lastly, we have the crucial P310 Gen 4 2230 NVMe M.2 SSD, the tiny guy with the 2TB variant, going for $121.99, making it $118 off.
Catlin, people get mad when you don't wave. They call you Reese's friends, and they don't realize that you've been working here for 6 years and you've been part of the UFD tech team for a while.
I'm Reese's friend.
Only because...
I'm paid to be Reese's friend.
and you guys were trapped together in America during COVID. Kind of.
It's like a hostage situation, yeah.
Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah.
All the best friendships.
All right.
And hey, it's going back to that guy. Cheers.
Well, Reece, turns out that if you contacted Discord customer support recently, you're getting a bad deal because your data got breached. This is coming out over the weekend that one of the third-party service providers that Discord uses suffered a data security hack, which a lot of people are pointing out that this is happening for ID verification reasons. That's not quite the whole story that's going on there. Discord announcing that a small number of government IDs, like driver's license and passports, were hacked because they had to be submitted to be verified for your age. But this is a more general hack of their customer support or trust and safety teams that if you communicated with them at all prior to September 20th, you likely had your information breached. Discord is sending out notifications to the people who likely are affected with this, and it looks like it's going to be things like your real name, your username, your email, your contact details, the last 4 digits of any credit card associated with you, and your IP address. It doesn't appear to be your password, which is great, or your full credit card number or your physical address, unless that happened to be on the ID that you submitted, if that got potentially breached. So Discord's saying that they're going to be contacting everybody who suffered from this breach, whether that's the more general breach or, according to them, the small number of users who had their ID breach happen. They're going to be contacting them directly. So watch out for your emails on that. Pretty heavy topic, so let's go to something lighter, like a lighter wood case from Asus. Just want to talk about the ProArt Wood Beige edition of their ProArt case. I just like it, all right? We have one of the ProArt cases for our streaming PC in the United States. At least we did. We're replacing it with a Lean Lead desk. But I really like this new lighter wood color setup that they're coming out with. Just a nice little refresher right there. And we're getting refresh details on sales and user numbers for AMD versus Intel and AMD versus NVIDIA. And it turns out that AMD is doing quite well for themselves in specific sector. So the latest Steam hardware survey comes out and it shows that Intel is hitting a record low and its user percentage in AMD is continuing to climb. And Hardware Unbox putting out a video showing that in at least Australian retail markets that AMD is doing quite well. And also their thumbnail designer doing quite well. Like, let's just appreciate Steve as Mugatu right there. Anyways, according to the Hardware Unboxed video, it turns out that the 9070 XT selling way more than the 5070 Ti. 9060 XT selling way more than the 5060 Ti. The 9070 selling more than the 5070. With that last one of the 9070 versus the 5070, it looks like overall the 9070 sold about 70% better than the 5070, but in recent months due to pricing changes, it looks like the 9070 only sold 20% better. So there's some changes that are going on there, but it does look like AMD is doing pretty well, or at least over in the Australian market, potentially in other sectors that are not the US. As we've seen from sales numbers in the United States, Nvidia is still doing quite well, especially as AMD has struggled to hit MSRP. Nvidia has been going below MSRP in certain sectors. But on the CPU side, Intel down 1.15% for the month of September, AMD climbing that 1.15%, getting closer to that 50-50 parity split that some would like to see between the two. But on the GPU side, it is not quite as clear of a win for AMD as Hardware Unboxed's video localized regional data makes it seem. So if we look at the overall numbers for Steam worldwide, which includes gaming cafes and all of that kind of stuff, it looks like 4060 laptop GPU is the fastest growing GPU right now. 5070 Ti comes in third after general NVIDIA graphics devices. 5060 Ti is fourth, 5070 is fifth, 5060 is sixth, 5060 laptop is seventh, 5080 is eighth, and then general Radeon graphics is ninth, and then the fastest growing AMD GPUs right now happen to be the older ones, the 7800 and 7600 XT. And in fact, based on this data, it doesn't look like AMD's 9000 series GPUs are growing at all, at least in terms of the total market share, because they have no change in percentage from the previous month. So it looks like people are still buying Nvidia worldwide, but that doesn't mean that AMD is not doing well in at least select regions, which is good to see. And especially if the 9070 XT can get closer to MSRP in regions like the United States, we're likely going to start seeing better sales there. Also, some other interesting details from the latest Steam hardware survey. 6-core CPUs are down. Looks like people are preferring higher core counts. And then also 8GB GPUs are down, with people now moving on to 16GB VRAM GPUs, which does happen to make a lot of sense with 5060 Ti, 9060 XT, 9070 XT, 9070, all of them having that. Does appear to be movement on that front. And we're going to move back to Friday's episode of Hot News to see what you guys had to say in the comments. We got Shake a Diver saying, tell us what PC things you can buy in South Africa that you can't buy in the US, please. So I will caveat this with saying that there's not a whole lot in the US that you can't get. It's more a matter of what can you easily get or cannot easily get. So one thing you definitely can't get is Debacle, because they are banned in the United States. Those are now for sale over at Woot, where you can pick up their coolers, no problem. They're still available here. So, you know, that might be a positive if you like Debacle, might be a negative if you might be in disagreement with their company practices that led to them getting banned in the United States. However, then there's also things like Sapphire motherboards now available worldwide, just easily available at Wootware. Then things like the Arc B60 Pro dual GPU I can pick up from Wootware. It's a special order item, but it is available for sale from Maxon, which again, that's kind of brand specific stuff. Like Maxon, you can get some of their GPUs from Newegg or eBay, but it's like not super easy. You might be able to order them off of AliExpress, or you might be able to import them directly somehow. It's just kind of easy at a retailer. There's not a ton that like South Africa gets that like the US doesn't have the ability to get. It's going to be more like Chinese brands and lesser known brands that are available here, or things that are big in Europe you can also get here. Things like Pallet is one of the largest GPU companies. You just don't buy them in the United States. They're one of Wootware's main GPU companies that you can pick things up from here. I mean, the real difference is pricing. Pricing is more expensive than it is in the United States. Any acquisition of hardware that we're going to do here is going to cost us significantly more, and that's just the life we're gonna have to live. Like this 5060 8 gigs going for 6,800 Rand, that ends up being 400 US dollars. That's a price increase of roughly 25%. Now, I will remind you that is the most affordable 5060 8 gig you can get because WooWare imports directly from Palette, as far as I'm aware, which helps to reduce the cost. But other 5060 8 gigs are going to be, closer to $500, especially the Asus variants. Those get stupid expensive here. So pricing's just going to be elevated. That's what we're going to have to deal with here. But we'll make do. We still have the US team for anything we need to do there, any reviews that we have to get done that side where things are only available in the United States. We're going to be working both sides of the planet. And I'm not going to be working here anymore. I'm going to be done with this episode of Hot News. I'll see you back here for more of the hottest tech news later.